folks. It's the E-Man here. I'm sorry it's been kind of a while. Unlike like most of you out there, we know the situation in the current world, and it's a stressful situation for everybody. So I thought maybe some people might want like kind of a video just to talk about something more comforting than what's going on in the world. As you can see, I have lost my mustache. I don't know if I look a little bit younger or something. I some gray hairs here and there, and not much. Yeah, I have plenty of hair growing on my face, but none on my head. So I wanted us, to think back to the early '90s when where we were in school and just you would always be waiting for the summer and something that's just let's go back to a time back in the '90s when the Super Nintendo was full tilt and we loved games and it was a golden age in our lives. Perhaps to go back in time and not focus on all of the problems we seem to be having here. So let's, in a word, as a reference to this game, in a word, let's go back in time here to what many people consider one of the best RPGs ever made by Squaresoft for the Super Nintendo in 1995. I want this to kind of be a surprise, but obviously in the video I'm going to have to say, gee, but I just want you guys to be kind of surprised because it's kind of the way it's supposed to be. So, yeah, as I've said, let's try to, go back to the 90s. Yeah, let's try to go back to the 90s, back to the last year's the Super Nintendo, before gaming went to the giant 3D and before we had any problems, long before we worried about terrorist attacks and, and the other stuff that's going on in the world. I do feel like it's a little bit of overreaction, but hopefully I'm here to get rid of some people's anxiety and worries. Let's start this up here, folks. Yeah, so okay. Keep in mind, we're going to journey back to the 90s, and for a brief minute, probably just kind of forget about some of the problems and think of how classic this game is. Alrighty. Well, there you have it, folks. I wanted to kind of show it's kind of like the opening thing for Chrono Trigger, and a lot of people are very fond of this RPG, and I particularly am too. I never really played it originally on the Super Nintendo. I played it on the PlayStation release, and it's still quite impressive to see that it was a very well done game. When this game originally came out, it was like $80, so cartridge games were expensive at the time. But I wanted to try to make people kind of maybe a fondness that some people might have with the past, or a thought that sometimes we can get comfort from the past. Later on, I may maybe do some game footage or something of this, but I kind of wanted to do almost kind of a dedication video to this, I think. Yeah. And of course, I know many of you out there, probably aren't working right now, and, it kind of stinks and you're not sure what's going to happen. But it's kind of cool to be able to fling out these emulators and play an old favorite on it, or type of game that some people are very fond of, Chrono Trigger. And I would never try to tarnish or try to disrespect it. I wanted to show that a lot of respect for I have a lot of respect for video games and the media and what was trying to be done way back when, before games required super duper graphics and whatnot. Of course, this is it was a action RPG, a very different than most RPGs, because there's no random battles, there's actual enemies on the screen. I remember it was cool, all the different combination moves. Essentially, in this game, if none of you have played this, it's a possibility. Essentially, you're like Chrono, a boy, and you kind of go to the fair, and yeah. Sorry, I haven't played this for a while. I'm not really sure what some of the names are. So, Chrono goes to the fair, in a tense. I don't mean to, yeah. So basically, this guy Chrono, you wake up in your house with your mother waking you up, and you go to the fair and you meet his friend Luca. I think she's an inventor. She's like doing stuff. You meet the princess. Drops her pendant. There's a scene later on where there's like a trial, and you're kind of judged on how this part of the game functions, which is cool. There was a lot of things they put into this game that was just really interesting. It feels like something that they would have made now. It definitely does stand the test of time as compared to a lot of 3D RPGs. I mean, I love Final Fantasy VII, but the original one has not aged particularly well with the graphics. I look past graphics. They're not that big of a deal to me, but yeah, I mean, they are. There's a good reason why the remake is coming out. So these are people made things to look forward to. I know that there's a lot of movies that are now available on stream because the movie theaters being closed because of the ongoing issue. I thought maybe this might help some people just kind of say, gee, I remember playing that game and the fun of playing that game. And, you know, I know it is just a game, but I think it's like, it's just kind of comforting to play like very comforting games. I just thought that opening crawl was just cool. I'm sorry maybe I didn't instigate as well as some other people did, as the way I have to choose between screens and whatnot. Yeah, essentially, then you discover she was a princess, because after you meet the princess and the medallion messes up, and then you go through time, and then yeah, and and then eventually you discover there's like this ancient evil creature called Lavos that's been sitting in Earth for a long time. He's waiting to emerge and attack, and that's essentially then they discover this more underlining. problem. And you meet all kinds of characters, like the frog dude, which is he's a knight that's been turned into a frog. He has to kind of redeem himself. Yeah, you can choose to do that. Later on, there's a villain character, and you can actually get him in your party. There's a whole thing where, I don't mean spoilers or anything, but yeah. And then the main character, something happens to the main character later on in the game, and you can decide whether to bring him back or not. And I didn't know you could actually just not bring him back. Yeah, so there are many things in this game that you can choose to do or choose not to do. I just think that all the characters were very unique, I think, in this game, and very interesting. Many of you may have also have played Chrono Cross, which is meant to be some kind of a sequel to this, but I feel like that game is good, but I think kind of fails in comparison to this. It's just kind of amazing that a game on the Super Nintendo could be, wow. I mean, it's quite impressive. As it's a game you might play it and say, was this really on the Super Nintendo? I get some Mod 7 kind of things going on there. Maybe you would kind of figure that out a little bit. Well, I hope I've given you guys some comfort in this time. I do know that we are going to get through this like one way or another. I think, I don't think things are just going to go away or whatnot. Well, as you guys are busy, you're worried about, how you're going to pay your bills or whatnot. It's like there's a lot of people that are having the same problem. And, you know, according to the powers that be, we are going to be getting hopefully some financial help for those that are like in dire need. And I'd like people to know, try not to be too freaked out about this. It's one of those things that's always holding over our heads. But it's yeah, yeah. But we are going to get through this, I think, and hopefully some things will be better, and hopefully some things will be in place in case something like this, you know, that ever happens again. Yeah, yeah, and try to be patient with. I really try to be patient with businesses that have had to close, or businesses where or restaurants where you can't go in and eat. We're all kind of dealing with this issue right now. I mean, everybody is. I think just about everyone in the world is dealing with this problem. Yeah, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah. I would have shown some gameplay, but at the moment, maybe I just wanted to kind of convey how much I like a Chrono Trigger. Yeah, it's a game I kind of forgot about, but I've seen other YouTubers talking about it, and I just wanted to do some kind of the somewhat dedication, I guess, was what that kind of was. And to try to help some people that get their thoughts off of stuff. Remember there's you can go on an emulator, play an old game, or watch an old movie and just kind of remember a more simpler time. That's kind of how I try to deal with it, I guess. Well, anyway, this is the E-Man signing off. And I hope all of you, I wish all of you well. And I wish all of you well. And I hope that our situation gets over pretty soon because, yeah, it's really tough out there. And I want to give a shout out to, all of our first responders and, all those other people that are working their butts off trying to figure this out, trying to help people, trying to, just trying to keep things afloat here. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, I just want all it's yeah, just yeah, want to shout out to everyone that's a lot of the people that have to work regardless of what's going on and trying to help people and do the funding, get supplies and and everything to kind of help us out. It's just shout out to everyone that's just doing the extra bit to try to help out. And for people that are, following the guidelines of what they're supposed to do during this trying time that we have. And hopefully we'll get through this soon. Okay. This is the E-Man signing off. And remember to and remember to keep playing. Catch you guys next time.